Chapter 10, Section 3 is just the markup concepts kind of taken to the next level. So say we are now in an environment where, which is many retail environments, maybe you're in a grocery store and all of the product cannot be sold, some of it's going to be thrown away. How do you price that product knowing some of them are unsaleable? Or maybe you're in the retail environment and you know that after Christmas, some of these sweaters are going to sell at 75% off. So then how do you mark up your product so that you're covering for those way low clearance items? So it's basically these same two formulas. We're going to calculate our selling price as our cost plus our markup, and our markup will either be a percent of cost or a percent of selling price. So we have to read carefully. But then we also have to factor in that either some of the goods will not be sold when we calculate out our price per unit, or some of them will be sold at a very, very reduced price. So say, for instance, we have Sports Cap Company buys 2,000 baseball hats at $7.50 per hat. If a markup of 50% on the selling price is needed, and then 5% of those hats will be unsaleable, what is the selling price of each hat? So they give us that they have a cost of 2,000 hats times our $7.50 per hat. So take our 2,000 times our $7.50, because we want to have a total cost of $15,000. Okay, then they tell us that the markup is 50% of the selling price. So we can't jump to this formula. We can't calculate our markup because we have it as a percent of selling price, and what they've given us is cost. So if we go back into our top formula, we have our selling price is going to be equal to our cost of $15,000 plus our markup. Now we don't know what that dollar amount is, and we can't compute it because we don't have the correct numbers, but we do know that it's a percentage of selling price. It's 50% of our selling price. So then we've got the same variables here. So this is one that students will struggle with too, because you can't quite complete either one of those equations just real quickly, like the other examples we did. But then this one we still can solve for. So remember, we have 100% of the selling price here, or if I want to put that in decimals, it's 1 selling price minus half of our selling price when I go to simplify it. So when I subtract that from both sides, I'm left with 50% of my selling price, or 0.5 is equal to 15,000. So then now I divide both sides by that. And I'll get a selling price of $30,000. So they want to make $30,000 when they sell all of these hats. Well, then we read the next thing, okay? We know we have 2,000 hats total. That was up here. Then now it tells us, okay, that 5% of those hats will not be able to be sold. So that gives us 100 hats that are unsaleable, or unsellable, whatever the proper English is there. So then now we want to make $30,000 out of the hats that we can sell. So the 2,000 total hats minus the 100 that we can't sell, that gives us 1,900 hats. So we divide the 30,000 that we want to make by those 1,900 hats, and we get a selling price of $15.79 if I round that. So the first step always is figure out what your selling price is, or what the desired selling price is, then figure out how many good items they're actually able to sell and divide it by that. So we're taking our desired selling price by our saleable quantity to get to our price per unit. Okay, then we add one next step, or one next complication to say, okay, well, This one maybe is a little easier because we know that they're not going to be sold. They're unsaleable. We're going to have to just throw them in the garbage so we can figure out what is remaining. This next one says, okay, well, it's not quite that basic. We are able to sell them. We're not just throwing them in the garbage. We're able to sell them, but we're going to sell them at a reduced cost. So the problem says that we have River Market purchased 120 small but perfect pumpkins for Halloween for $320. The manager expects, oh wait, sorry, I'm reading the wrong problem. I apologize for that. Okay, move on. Recap tires. So we have Wheelco truck recap tires cost $80.50 per tire. Past experience shows that 12% of these recaps will be sold as blemishes for $105. If it recaps 500 tires and has a markup of 110% on cost, what will be the regular selling price per tire? So this time we do know the cost. It costs $80.50 per tire, and they bought 500 tires. So if I multiply those out, I've got a $40,250 total cost. Then if I come to my selling price formula, I fill in my cost, $40,250, and then I add to that my markup, which I can also compute though. My markup is 110% of cost. So 40,250 times 110%, or 1.1 if I put that in decimals. So if I multiply what I've got going on here in the parentheses first, 40,250 times times 1.1 gives me a markup of $44,275. But then that's just my markup. I still have to remember to go back and add my cost. So even though my markup is very high, my markup is actually more than cost, I still want to cover both, markup and cost. So I need to add those together. So $84,525 is going to be my selling price that I want to have. So I'm going to make that money two ways though. So we've got what they call these blemishes. They're going to sell as blemishes. So the problem told us that 12% of the tires will be sold at $105 as blemishes. So if they have 500 tires times 12% or 0.12, that tells us that 60 tires will be sold at $105. So that means they're going to make $6,300 on these 60 tires. So then they want to make the remainder. So then they're going to make $6,300. They want to make a total of $84,525. So then that leaves $78,225 that they want to make on the remaining tires. So then that would be the 500 tires that they have total minus the 60 blemishes. So then they're going to have 440 good tires to make their $78,225. So then I will divide it by that. So $177.78 is how much that they're going to have to sell the good tires for. Let me make sure that's all in there. Okay, yeah. So then your first step always, a lot of times these are already given to you in units, so you have to, take them all the way out to say, well, what's my total cost? Then come to your selling price formula to figure out what do I totally want to make when I sell all of these tires? Then I know I have two components of sales. I have my blemishes, so how much, how many blemish tires do I have? And then how much am I getting for selling those? So I know I'm going to make $6,300 on those. I still don't want to make more than my $84,525. That's my total goal. So then I can subtract the $6,300 from my total goal to say, okay, I'm left with $78,225 that I want to make on those 440 tires that are remaining. So then that's how I calculate out my price per tire. And then you will have one of each of these on your test. You'll have one where it's where the item is scrapped and we've thrown away, and the other one that has a reduced price sale. So you want to be able to compute both of these, and then really there's no new formula. These are our same formulas that we had in Section 1 and Section 2. You just have to be able to kind of think that whole big picture through to be able to get to this price per unit.